Hello and welcome to Girls Trip with LaVerne and Steffanie. I'm Stephanie Rivers, and LaVerne Adekunle is not here today. I'm holding it down by myself, but not really by myself because I have a guest who's going to be with me. But before we get to her, because I think she just fell out, her Wi-Fi might be a little shaky, but hopefully she'll come back in. But my guest today is Michelle Foster, and if you know me, I grew up in Knoxville, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Michelle Foster and I went to high school together. And Michelle has always been one of the smartest people I know. We were in the band together. She played a saxophone, I played a flute, and we were just two girls in high school. And Michelle and I went to Fulton High School in Knoxville because we were part of the SECME program. That was the Southeastern Consortium for Minorities in Engineering. And so that program, let me say that Fulton High School, where we went to high school, was not in our district, in our area. We were supposed to go to another high school, but because of our grades going from junior high into high school, we were invited to be a part of the SECME program. And then that meant that we had to go to another high school out of our district. And so I remember my mother talked to me about, if I wanted to do it. And, at that point in your life, you're not necessarily thinking about after high school, but what high school I don't want to go to, and the choices that you make. A lot of times as teenagers that young, a lot of teenagers don't really think about what is it that I want to do with my life. And you don't think about the choices that you make right then can either propel you or lead you down a direction that's going to change your life. And so I am glad that I was able to be a part of the SECME program. And I don't know, it's called the SECME, Southeastern Consortium for Minorities in Engineering. That's what brought Michelle Foster and I together. And there were a lot of students in that program, and I'm pretty sure it only started a couple of years before I entered. And so hopefully I can get Michelle back on, let her know that I have lost her signal. Hold on, let me go back and just letting her know I lost her signal. Although I'm sure she could see that she's not there, but at any rate, I would do that. So essentially, I have another friend of mine, good friend of mine, that I want to have on just to talk about STEM, the STEM careers. And a lot of us know the acronym STEM, but STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And those careers traditionally have been where men go, and we've been told in society that women traditionally do certain things or are good at certain things, and men are traditionally good at certain things. And so it turns out that if you put your mind to it, you can be great. You can be talented and skillful at whatever career you want, but you do have to study. Some of us, of course, we all have different talents and that we are born with, it, things that come more natural to us than other things. I'm a journalist by profession. Used to be a TV reporter, newspaper reporter. I still do freelance work now. And you might have seen some of my columns that I now do a video version of that column on EUR Web, Electronic Urban Radio Web. And it just where I talk about things that are important to me in my community. And I have always been a great communicator, the written word, especially. And it turns out, years later, after I graduated from college and became a TV reporter in Goldsboro, North Carolina, actually, or when was it? Goldsboro, Greenville area, Eastern North Carolina, WNCT TV. Shout them out. That was my first TV job. It turned, I didn't realize then that my mother, when she was in college, that was her goal, was to be a writer and an ace reporter. And it just is so amazing at how you can follow in the footsteps, or that you can have a talent in something and not know that you come by it naturally, that it's something that your parents were good at and now you're good at it. Or maybe your parents weren't good at something and now you are leading your family lineage in that area. That's okay. But it's been comfortable for me to write and to, in fact, when I was in high school, you know how you're in high school and you're in English. This was an English class, and my English teacher's name this year was Miss Sensorbox. So for all my Knoxville, Tennessee high school friends, if you remember Miss Sensorbox, she was known as one of the tough English teachers, which is good. If you're a teacher, you want to be a challenge. You want your students to be challenged. And she was challenging. And she would have us every week or every few weeks, we had to write some paper with some type of topic. And so you would write the paper, write the topic, and then do it along the lines of how she wanted with the thesis sentence, and then back it up with whatever you thought. And then I remember one time she pulled me to the side, or told me to say after class or something. And she asked me about my paper, and she asked me, "Did you write this paper?" And I said, "Yes, I wrote the paper." And she said, "So then if you wrote the paper, then you should have the notes from where you wrote the paper." And I said, "Yes, I don't have them with me." Or maybe I did have them with me because, in high school, you carry a little notebook and all that. So anyway, I showed her how I prepared for the final draft of my paper, because that's one of the things she went over. And if you're a writer, you don't just sit down and write and that's the end of it. You sit down and you write the first draft, and then you change up some stuff or how it's flowing, and then you write more, and then you sit it to the side a couple of days or a couple of hours, and you come back to it, and you be surprised at the mistakes or the differences and how you feel about what you wrote, and then you change it up. And so going back to my story, Miss Sensorbox, she said, "I need to see your drafts of it, the paper." So I said, "Okay." So I gave her the draft, and she looked at it, and then she said, "Okay." And then that was the end of it. And I thought to myself, Miss Sensorbox obviously thinks I did not write this paper. Now, I could have taken the negative viewpoint of Miss Sensorbox think I ain't smart enough to write this paper. But I took the positive viewpoint and I said, Miss Sensorbox is so impressed with my writing as a high school student, she thinks I didn't write this paper. So that's how I took it. And that was just another indication that I was on the right track. Let me check back and see, did I hear anything from Michelle? Because she's supposed to be here. Anyway, I'm waiting on Michelle to come back in. Anyway, so that was, just an indication. And my mother, like I said, she was a writer anyway. I remember being in elementary school, like 7, 8 years old. And my mother would be writing letters to congresspeople or writing letters to elected officials in our area about whatever it was she was upset with about at that time. And she would say, Stephanie, listen to this and tell me how it sounds. And I would be sitting there, my 8-year-old self, listening to my mother's letter. And then I can't remember if I ever gave any like structural feedback, but I would say, that sounds good. Or that sounds, probably I was like, that sounds good, mommy. And so I just got used to hearing and reading. And I was in a household where my parents and my family, they appreciated the written word. And so I got an appreciation for it myself. I had books and I was expected to do my homework and I was expected to excel in school. And therefore I did. And so that's why it's I think a lot of when we talk about people excelling, it has to do with how they how what's expected of them. And so now I have our guest back with us. Her name is Michelle Foster, and welcome to the show, Michelle.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Stephanie.
So I don't know what happened, but in your absence, I told them our history. We went to high school together, and you're one of the smartest people I've known for years. And then I talked to them about how, our district where we lived on our side of town, we was supposed to go to another high school, but the SECME program, Southeastern Consortium for Minorities in Engineering, was a program that was being offered at Fulton High School. And my mother, asked me about it, and we agreed that I would go to Fulton to be a part of that program. And so I know SECME started a couple of years before I got there, but what was I know you were scheduled because we lived near each other, so we would have been going to the same high school. We ended up at Fulton together. Have you always been were your interest always in SECME or in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math? Because you've always been smart at things like that.
Yes, actually, it was yes. I always had an interest in science and math. I knew I did fairly well at it, so I originally wanted to become a doctor, and then I got the letter from SECME, and in fact, you know how it is when you're a teenager. You want to go to school with your friends, and all my friends was going to Holston, another school in Knoxville. And
right. I was telling them that. I was like, in high school, you're not thinking long term, but this was an opportunity. So go ahead. I mean, cut you off.
And my parents talked me into it. My grandparents. I think I had a couple of aunts who said, girl, this is an opportunity. Don't pass it up. We were 13, 14 years old at the time. And they said, look, you don't understand at 14 what impact it's going to have on your life, 40 years later now. So they said, take the opportunity. You don't get these opportunities all the time in your life. And good things are going to come of it. They had the foresight. Of course, me being a teenager, I didn't. But it really has been that involvement in what they call STEM now, like we were saying before we went live. We were in the program of science, technology, engineering, math program before they called it, STEM.
Right.
And so yeah, really, it's been the gift that's kept on giving.
So you originally wanted to be a doctor, and I guess so you've always wanted to be in to be in that arena. What was it that led you to your current career? So tell us what you're doing now, because I know we're Facebook friends and we follow each other, and I know you recently got a promotion, is it, or you have moved to a new area? What are you doing now?
Currently, right now, I am an instructor in what they call maintenance and reliability, which actually during my engineering career, that's what I was specialized in. I'm in an area what they call vibration analysis, and basically, what a vibration analyst does is that we take measurements on machines, and based on what the measurements and data is telling us, I can diagnose whether or not a machine has a problem, or if a machine is okay. So, stemming from I said I wanted to be a doctor when I was a teenager. So now instead of diagnosing people, I diagnose machines.
Okay, so are these machines? Are these machines? They measure earthquakes or something, or like why would you need to diagnose a machine?
Why do we need to diagnose a machine? Machines are interesting components. In fact, that's why I was telling the class today. Machines have a way of communicating if they're happy or if they're not. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. And the type of machines I'm talking about is rotating equipment like fans, pumps, motors, compressors, those sorts of things. But they have ways of communicating when they're developing a problem before they crash and burn, and then it's a big problem.
Right.
So based on their ways of communicating, and it's through this technology called vibration analysis. I'm gonna back up a couple of steps. Everything has a vibration, and you can just imagine a machine has a vibration, but it has an acceptable one and an unacceptable vibration. And so when the unacceptable vibrations develop, then it's up to a person like me, a vibration analyst, to determine why that machine is exhibiting uh, uh, unacceptable vibrations.
Okay, so this is a special assignment for you, or are you now a vibration specialist for like, is this your next career step, or it's a special assignment? You're gonna go back to something else that you normally do?
Actually, I've been a vibration analyst for about 30 years. I started right out of college when I took my first job at Y12. Actually, how I got in it is when I took my first job at Y12. My manager said, "You're going to be our next vibration analyst." And I kind of looked around and said, "I am." And I said, "Well, does it pay on the same day of the month?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Well, okay, I'm in. What I have to do?" And so I had to take some specialized classes, post-education classes, and from there it's kind of taken off from there.
So what kind of classes do you have? Well, let me start with what kind. It seems like when you started your first job at Y12, they were accepting of having you, a woman, do a specialized role. So have you
Right.
had any challenges with being in the career field where most people are men? Because a lot of, that's the thing now is you might have, it's like traditional roles don't lead most women to be in STEM.
Correct. Yeah, I had my share of challenges. Of course, being female and also being African American in the South. It was interesting because I was telling a colleague this story yesterday. You tend the first thing that folks want to do, and then let me back up just a minute. Let me back up. Being
No
a
problem.
female and African American in the South, in a really, really, really male dominated field, because maintenance in general, I'm going to just guesstimate maybe 96, 97% male. So when you
Mhm.
walk in the room and you're the only female, the first thing the guys are doing, especially the white men, first thing they're doing is like, "Who are you? Why are you here? And what do you think you're doing here?" And
Hmm.
so what I had to do was just try to bridge that gap and just let them know that I'm not here to cause trouble, stir anything up. I'm just here to help. I'm just here to offer my technical expertise so that we all can have a better work environment to live in. So.
Okay, so yeah, like you said, it's, they're not used to seeing women, and then that means the pressure is on for you to be as good as or not better than they are, because people are looking for a reason to exclude people from their arena. So I'm sure that they were pleasantly, maybe not pleasantly, but surprised that you could hold your own with them. So
right.
When do you, so you're now in Los Angeles and you're teaching a class, so teaching people to be vibration analysts, is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm teaching vibration analysis. I'm also teaching what they call reliability and maintaining ability, which is how can you maintain machines to be at their best? Because when things are well maintained, let's take your car, for instance. When you maintain your car, keep your car maintained, then you get a lot better service out of your car. But the same thing can be applied to industrial machines. The better you keep them maintained, the better service they're going to have for you. And also it's a safer work environment.
Okay, so was there a mentor that you had along the way, or an organization that helped you to prepare for the next step, or did you kind of like just have to feel your way through?
Yeah, I was lucky enough, and I guess this is where the divine intervention came in, is that I was lucky enough to be in the what's the word? To be in the same space of some great mentors. I had some folks that believed in me when I was a young engineer, showed me the ropes, kind of showed me the ins and outs of being in engineering in maintenance, which is kind of unique than other engineers. And I really was blessed to have some great mentors in my early career and in my mid career as well.
So now, do you see yourself mentoring people coming behind you, or is that you're open to if somebody wants to reach out to you for mentorship?
Yes, I am very open to mentorship. The one thing that I did before I took this current job was I was I guess a liaison, if you will, throughout the whole Department of Energy enterprise in my specialty of vibration analysis. So people would call me from other facilities throughout the United States and ask me for advice and ask me for
Wow.
What's the word? Technical advice as well as career advice and that sort of thing, and help them solve their problems and that sort of thing. And so right now too, in the teaching realm, I'm now able to mentor younger people in this realm on maintenance techniques, and also, as I said a minute ago, the vibration analysis thing that I do.
So what qualities do you think you were strong in that led you to be successful, and what qualities should say young people now, if they have, because I guess we can always develop certain skills. We don't want to ever tell anyone, no, if you don't have it, it's not going to happen for you. But what do you think might help a person who has these certain qualities to be successful in STEM, that they might not even realize that's an innate thing for them?
Well, just have a strong belief in yourself. just believe that if you really want to do it, if you really want to pursue a path of science or engineering or technology or even business, just have a belief in yourself. Right now, information is at a all-time high. You can grab information for free right on the computers that we're talking on. So if a young person, or even not so young person has a desire to want to learn more, then I mean it's right at their fingertips. But the first thing is believe in yourself. Don't believe the doubters, because the doubters and the haters, as they call them, they're the first people that's going to tell you can't do anything. And most people are pretty smart people, and you can pretty much do almost anything that you put your mind to. So that would be my opinion.
Right, especially if that's what I tell myself. If I see hundreds of other people doing something, or if I see 5 or 6 people doing something, there's no reason why I can't do it, because I'm just as smart, just as good, just as tough as the next person. But I remember when I used to teach at Morgan State University in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to get my students to apply for different grants. It would be like a writing contest or something along those lines. And if you win this contest, you would get a free trip to whatever. And I had the toughest time with students who would say, "Oh, but I don't want to leave my boyfriend for the summer," or "I don't want to leave home for the summer." And I'm like, "Girl, well, it's not all about just living around this. It's more, the world is bigger than what you can see around the corner in Baltimore. Ain't nothing wrong with Baltimore." But I just had it was like they didn't want to upset somebody or their situation. And I would, try to, it seems like, and then I remember another time, Michelle, I used to do door-to-door sales. And I did that because, one, for the money, because it was good, but two, because I felt like it was going to help me to build my salesmanship skills. And I did learn a lot. But there was one instance where I was like mentoring another new salesperson, a woman, and she, it turns out, was giving her sales to this guy and letting him get credit for what she did so he could reach his goals. And she was falling to the wayside. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would somebody else's goals be more important to you than your own goals?
Yeah, right.
And if he was willing to take your sales, knowing that it was going to hurt you, that speaks volumes about the kind of man that he is, in my opinion. And so, can you just speak to women about being assertive, I just want for people in general, but women specifically, to not feel like they have to be less than so somebody else can be greater than, that the confidence needs to be there. Can you just speak to that?
Yeah, I feel like our feminine energy is probably our best asset as far as being assertive, because we can come in a little bit more, I don't know what we call it, softer, a little bit more with finesse, and take our place. And it's kind of interesting because once you take that place, the guys are looking around like, "Hey, she's all right," and it's this. That's where I think we need to use our feminine energy to our advantage, instead of kind of, backing off and being the demure. I think that's the word, person. And like you say, put your needs first. It's one of the things that I guess I've learned over the years, is that when I say put your needs first, I'm not talking about being selfish. I'm just saying understand it, they call it self-care now. You know, put your needs first, put your goals first, because really in the end, they're the other people, they're going to eventually kind of fall by the wayside. And if you can find a partner, then yeah, that's a wonderful thing. But usually, as time goes on, other folks are going to fall by the wayside, and you're sitting there going, "Well, I wish I would have done more in this area, and I wish I would have done more in that area." But if you have that gut feeling that you need to take a step forward, take that step forward. You probably won't regret it.
Right, right. And that's, so true. That we just in life, you look back, like you said, at the choices that, some people made. Maybe a student was sitting right next to you and they chose to do something, whether it's like skip class or whether it's like, smoke weed, whether it's to be, talk back to the teacher. And they developed maybe a reputation, and you chose to do something else. It doesn't mean like you're better than they are, but your choices led you to where you are today, especially if you keep pushing through, because it might seem like, this is the end of the world. What happened to me? It's the end of the world. But it's not the end of the world. There's always tomorrow, and you can always overcome something that has happened to you. So what is it that you would, is there anything that you would add that I didn't ask? I know that you were on assignment, and you, how long are you there for an assignment? Because you get to travel. People see that you are an expert in what you do, so they ask you to do different things. So what's the next step for you?
Well, right now, this particular job is probably I'm hoping it takes me to retirement. But
okay. So
yeah.
You're actually going to just start teaching people instead of actually doing, so will you move to Los Angeles, or are you going to do it from New Mexico?
I'm not sure yet. Right now, I'm thinking about probably moving closer to your area, Northeast Texas. That's one of the places that I'm looking at. When I'm at my home base, I can be anywhere. But when I'm with the clients, I have to be at the client's place. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking at a few places. The one thing about the Santa Fe area in particular, it's a little bit on the expensive side. So I like to get somewhere where it's a little bit cheaper to live.
Okay, and you know what? When I moved to Dallas, I said that it reminds me of Knoxville, and so you probably like North Texas, but everybody is starting to move here from places like California, and so that means the cost of living is going up, but it's still relatively less expensive than most places. And so I'd love to show you around if you ever come this way. And then we have some other people from Knoxville. Squeaky lives here, and EJ lives here, and Sheila, I forgot what high school Sheila, I can't remember her last name. So there are a lot of people, so you won't be alone. Wallace Moore lives in the area. So there are a lot of people who you remember from high school who live in the area. So that would be great if you ever want to come this way and you want somebody to show you around, I'm available.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
And so what will you be, I know Mother's Day is coming up soon. Will you be going back to Knoxville to visit your family, or will they be coming to see you?
Actually, as far as my mom, she unfortunately passed away in 2007. But my daughter is out in New Mexico with me. And what we'll probably do is probably take a girls' trip somewhere.
Okay, that's awesome. So What is your daughter doing now? How old is she now? Like 40?
Actually, yeah, she's 38.
38,
So
almost
yeah,
40. Time
yeah,
flies, doesn't it?
yeah. That's what I was thinking of when we were trying to reconnect again. I thought, man, it was 40 years ago. We were in high school.
It's
But
crazy,
like you
but we
said,
look
time
good
flies.
though. We look good. You can't tell. I said we look
Oh yeah,
good.
we
You can't
do.
tell. Well, I hope you and your daughter have a great Mother's Day girls trip together. My mother and I normally go to the New Orleans Jazz Fest, but I think they canceled it again this year because of COVID. I have to check. I'll have to check, but I'm pretty sure. But I might try to surprise her and go home since she, might be up for a visit now. But I want to thank you, Michelle, for taking the time. And then I put in, if anyone's interested in contacting you about mentorship or they have any questions about STEM careers, to contact you on Facebook. And if anyone contacts me, I will forward that on to you. I hope to have Alicia Glenn on in the coming weeks, because she too is in the STEM career field, and just to encourage ladies to go for it and do whatever they want, instead of feeling like they have to do what's accepted or what somebody told them they need to do. So anyway, I would let her know you said hello.
Okay, I'll yell to her. I said, hey, tell your mom that I said hello, and I'm glad she's doing well.
She is.
And like you said, if anybody has any questions or about STEM careers and what I did to get into my STEM career, is like you said, either contact Stephanie or contact me through Facebook.
All righty then. So you have a great rest of your week, and I'm going to end it with go back to our opening, because I'm trying to get good with being a producer and a host and this, that, and I'm trying to add to my repertoire. So
okay,
you have a good one. We'll talk later.
Okay, you have a good week as well, and thanks for inviting me again.
No problem.